What's up everyone, welcome back to my channel. I want to share a little bit of news and something that has been on my mind for quite a little bit now. Starting today, I'm gonna use this channel to share with you everything I learned about motion graphic and abstract art. I really wanted to create a complete course, but I feel like having this on YouTube is going much easier for you because it's gonna be free, and for me because I will not feel like I have to overproduce my videos, which will make the addition of new videos even much easier for me. So whenever I will have a new techniques or new ideas to share with you, it will be so much easier. One of the main reasons I'm doing that now is because as I learned Blender a year and a half ago, it was really hard to find resources. Everything was scattered all over the internet. The tutorials were kind of here and there, but the main issue was the tutorial were not really appealing because the outcome was not really pretty. So the main idea is I'm gonna package everything I learned. I'm gonna compress all of that knowledge to something that is quite digestible for you, something you can follow up on your computer quite easily, and something that will look amazing at the end. So before diving into everything I plan on covering in the upcoming videos, I want to talk about the main choice, which is why Blender over Cinema 4D. So as I mentioned, I switched over to Blender a year and a half ago. I used Cinema 4D for almost 2 years. I was using Redshift and Octane, so I'm pretty familiar with both packages at this point. I mainly switched to Blender because I wanted personally to focus on concept art and environment. And so there's basically 3 reasons why I chose Blender. The first and foremost, it's free. It's available to everyone in the world. You just need a computer, internet access, and you can download and use Blender right now. The second reason is the community. What I was looking and making research about Blender and switching to Blender, I had so many people that were really helpful with me, explaining me the pros and cons and helped me figuring out why I will choose Blender over Cinema 4D. The third reason, which to me was actually way more important than the 2 previous ones, are the plugin. There is so many plugins and add-ons you can use. And since I wanted to focus on concept art, everything was there and so helpful to accelerate and help me really get to the end result faster. That being said, I still feel like Cinema 4D is a little bit superior than Blender for visual art and motion graphics. Especially because of its user interface. The user interface is quite easy to use, everything kind of makes sense, and it's very straightforward. I also love the support for Redshift and Octane. Those 2 renderers are quite well integrated with the package, and I love how Octane looks out of the box. I want to make very clear this is not like a battle of like what is the best package. There is what is the best tool for you or what you want to accomplish. Putting out those courses on YouTube, I want to make sure the content is free and easily accessible by everyone. And so that's why using Blender makes way more sense. Okay, so that being out of the way, let's talk about what I plan to cover in my upcoming videos. First, I think I want to start with something fun. So I will do a breakdown video tutorial of how I made the image of the thin cubes. So we'll go over composition, we'll go over materials, lighting, and modeling. I'll show you a few tips and tricks I learned around using arrays, and so that will be the first course. We'll also cover later on the flower wallpaper and the balls, the metal balls, abstract one I made recently. We will cover materials, lighting, composition, and modeling for all of those things. We're going to use different techniques, so you will have a wide range of techniques to learn from. There's no one final end result. It's going to be up to you to make it look like the way you want. And so that's going to be a fun times. Okay, another thing I want to cover is more meta, but still very important. It's going to be about everything about concepts, right? So ideation, how do you like iterate on one idea? I want to talk about inspiration. Where can you find sources to get inspired? Sometimes it's quite hard to get started. We'll talk about growth, where you start and where you want to be, and kind of the delta and where to get there. We're going to talk about also how to stay at the top of your game with how to do like technical surveys, at least how I do it, and maybe you can get inspired from that. Obviously, we'll talk about the process. Where do I start, where to start, how do you build up to like the final composition and the image. And also, but not least for me, is frustration, because as a 3D artist, you will get there quite often because you have something in your mind and you can get there, and we'll try to find solution and avenues for you to not avoid frustration, because that's part of the process, but how to overcome and make that a strength. A big topic we'll talk about, and I want to give you all the tools necessary to get started, is going to be modeling. We're not going to get into like fancy ILM, Star Wars 3D modeling here. We're going to stay very simple and basic. The goal is to give you like a few setups that you can start to use today. Those shapes will be abstract and parametric, so you like just moving a few parameters and a few knobs or a few things around will have in the result to be a totally different look. So we'll cover close simulation, we'll talk about metables, we'll talk about how to decimate a mesh, we'll talk about tissue tessellation plugins for Blender, which are really cool for organic shapes. We'll talk about arrays and cloners and way more. So obviously something that is really important for the composition and the final image is going to be lighting. So we'll talk about world nodes, HDRIs, how to use gradients to your advantage, image background, which is something really cool we'll cover, and some more basic setup as 3-point lighting. Obviously, we will also talk about materials. We'll talk about glass dissipation. We'll talk about metal materials, how to use noises to help you build really cool and different looks. Iridescent, that's kind of a given. Translucency, everything in between. All of those parameters will help you achieve different looks and interesting reflections and colors. We'll dive quite deep into those nodes, and every parameters will result in having a different looks. Okay, last thing, almost last thing is, so who are those videos for? This course is probably geared toward someone who has a little bit of experience within Blender. I will do my best to call out the shortcut and explain what I'm doing as I move forward, but I will not stop on every small little things, because that will create too much friction to get you where you want to be. Okay, and here's the last thing. Obviously, I'm gonna release those videos in the upcoming weeks and months, so feel free to just subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on to make sure that you know exactly when my videos will drop, and be on top of your game. Hopefully you have a lot of fun as much as I had learning Blender and all of those techniques, and see you in the next videos.